What is up, everybody? It's your boy DFS Up North, aka Josh Thomas, here with another Sharp Bets betting edition for PGA. We are talking about the US Open again this week. If you haven't checked out my outright bets video yet, you can check that out in the description below. And if you are not a part of our free Discord yet, where we are talking about betting before the Sharp app launches live, we are in beta right now, but we are getting some content out there. Make sure that you join that so you can be the first to know when we go live with the Sharp app, and you are not going to want to miss this. The tools, the picks, the bet, like everything is top notch. I'm so excited for it. And today we are talking about my favorite head-to-head 3-ball and group bets for the US Open. So let's get to it. Before we really get into the bets, let's talk a little bit about the course. We were at Torrey South. You may remember this course from the Farmers Insurance Open, or Invitational, sorry. That is played usually at the end of January, beginning of February. This is played in La Jolla, California, San Diego area. Typically it plays as a par 72, but for this event, we're going to play it as a par 71. They've turned this hole number 6 into a ridiculously long 500-yard. Par 4 is 7,685 yards, but the course superintendent of the U.S. Open Committee basically said we're going to play this between 72 and 7,400 yards most days, depending on the wind. Right now, the weather looks really solid. Playing out west, we have to worry a little bit about the fog, things like that. But right now, the weather looks good for this tournament. So it's really not going to be too big of an issue. But, when we are betting and we can look at things like first round leaders, we want to look at guys, especially in the morning wave, because they're typically going to shoot a little bit lower because of the Poa annua greens. So Poa annua greens are very common on the West Coast and actually here up in the north and the Midwest. In Canada. Basically, what happens is when the sun hits these greens in the afternoon, they actually flower, and they end up getting very, very bumpy. So the ball doesn't necessarily putt as well on these Poa annua greens. So we're likely to see the better scores out in the morning. Wave tees, Bermuda grass, but then we have Kikuyu in the fairways and the rough. And what we see with Kikuyu is that when it's mowed tightly, it is an unreal lie. You get a great shot, and if you are in the rough, you are almost dead to rights because that Kikuyu grows so thick that it really tangles up your ball. I'm sure if you've been watching anything this week, you've seen some of the videos where they drop the ball in the rough and you can barely see it, right? That's pretty standard Kikuyu. You can get some flyer lies out of it. It can actually sit up too at times if they get it too thick, which I think is feasibly a concern here. But the Kikuyu is going to be more dominant now than what we see typically in January because there's less rye overseed on the course. I really expect this course to play tough. I don't expect that we're going to see I don't think we're going to see 7, 8, 9, 10 win it under. I think we're going to see more like 3 or 4 under par. I think that we're going to see the cut line be around 7 or 5, 4 over. That's my guess. I don't think that it's going to be crazy hard like Wingfoot last year, where we're seeing guys who make the cut end up shooting like plus 19. But it's gonna play difficult. All right. Typically my weekly betting strategy, we talked about this in the first show, I'm only betting around 3 to 4 units a week. I think that's a really fair number. Golf is a highly variant sport, and you're really looking to try to hit maybe 3, 4 outrights a year. And then where you're going to make your money is in what we are talking about today in these 4-round head-to-head matchups, the daily head-to-head matchups. Typically, I only play those daily head-to-heads in rounds 2 through 4, unless I see that there is a distinct advantage for someone. And I do actually see that today. So we're going to look at that for tomorrow. The top 5, top 10, top 20 bets, those usually are attached to my outrights. And then first round leader, group betting, exotics, those are another 0.5 to 0.1 unit. So that's kind of where I am at with weekly betting strategy. Some guys are going to play, other guys in this industry play very, very heavily. They're looking for, we're going to play a ton of guys on. We're going to put a ton of money on outrights, and when I hit, I'm going to smash. For me, I like to try to keep, my head above water and then just continue to, instead of this big smash, I just want to continue to increase my unit size. All right. And that's going to give me more money in the long term. And my graph is going to look more like this as opposed to like this, right? Because golf's crazy. There can be some massive, massive downswings. So right away, let's get to it. One of my favorite bets of the week is Big Daddy Bryson over Brooks at -112. I actually make this about -150. We're getting some decent value here. I think that this number is going to change. So if you're watching this right now, it is 145 on Wednesday. This is still available. I think by 8 p.m. tonight, we're going to see that number drop to like that -125 range, just because of what we saw with Brooks today. He's limping around the course. That could all be bullshit. Like, that's fine. That's what Brooks does. If you lose, he's building himself an excuse if he loses. Well, I only played on one leg. And he's also building himself a, look at me, I'm just like Tiger. I played great on one leg. So it could be BS, but for me, I really like this bet. Bryson, I think we're getting good value here on Bryson. I don't know that Brooks is 100% healthy. And even if they are, I still think that Bryson's the better golfer right now. It's hard to say that, you know, with in a U.S. Open where Brooks has dominated over the past 10 years, but I think that Bryson's length is going to be at a huge advantage here. And actually looking at some of the data and the overlays, looking at data golf has put out some of the heat maps of where guys are, you know, where you're actually better off landing the ball in some of these roughs, and further to the left and right is actually better here, which I think could benefit Bryson a little, which is intriguing. So I'm 0.2 units on here. This is just a win. I think 0.18 units back. Nothing huge, but a bet that I definitely like. The second bet that I like is actually a 3-ball. This is going to be a bunch of guys that you have probably never heard of. So Guido Migliozzi is a 24-year-old Italian coming over to play in the United States for the first time, and he is in a group with 2 other young studs. Wilco Nienaber from South Africa, who we actually saw last week play really, really well. I'm very high on him in DFS this week, along with Guido, and then Cameron Young, who went on a absolute tear, won back-to-back Torrey Ferry Tour events earlier this year, and you know, I think led for something like 100 and some holes in a row because he went wire to wire. But very good players in their own right. But Guido is at +200. I think a massive value here. He should be about +150. This is at best a coin flip in this group. At worst, I actually make Guido the favorite, and on most books they're playing here, they're running him as like the 3rd favorite in this group, which I think is crazy. I think that Guido is a guy that is going to be around for a very, very long time. He's coming off 2 second-place finishes on the European Tour. He has got game. The kid can play. He is long. He's got great iron play. Short game is great. I think that there is potential for him to be the best Italian player ever. Now, we said that about Matteo Manassero a couple of years ago. Actually almost 10 years ago now. And, you know, but I think that he has the potential to surpass a guy like Francesco Molinari, who we're actually going to talk about in a little bit. So I am very high on this bet. Guido +200 over Wilco and Young, 0.2 units. We're looking to double it up there, 0.4 unit return. And this, my friends, is actually my favorite bet on the board this week. Shane Lowry +105 over Stenson and Molinari. I'm actually going to bump up my units here to 0.5. Stenson is lost completely. He's shown a little bit of signs of life, but even if he was full strength, like Stenson at Torrey at this distance, even if it only plays 7,300 yards, I think it's too long for him because his short game is terrible. All right. So he needs a course that he's going to be able to maybe get a little more creative at, run it up. I think that he's like if this was the British Open, I would be less inclined here. You know, but I love Lowry this week. He's been playing. He's got 4 top 10s in his last 5 events, maybe 3. But he's been absolutely crushing lately. Iron play has been great. Short game's so good. And then we get Francesco Molinari, who's really just coming back from a extended break. And he's not even the best Molinari on playing golf right now. I think Dodo, his brother, is playing much better golf than he is right now. I don't see either Stenson or Molinari having any chance here against Shane Lowry for the week. I'm going to put 0.5 units on. I would take this up to a unit. I think you could go higher on this. I really like Shane Lowry on this bet. I think it's I don't want to say it's free money, but it's something that I'm pretty high on here. All right, I said I don't typically bet round 1. There's so much variance in golf, and when we actually get some data, you know, based on how players are playing after the first round, how the course is playing after the first round, that's where we seem to have a little bit of an edge. But here we have Scotty Scheffler as the dog to Jordan Spieth and Will Zalatoris in round 1. I think that's a mistake. Scheffler is a excellent round 1 scorer. He's actually the best round 1 scorer out of these 3 by a fairly decent margin. That's a statistic that we look at when we look at fantasy scoring, actually, but round one in general. Better than Zalatoris and Spieth. And he's been playing well. His tee degree game is much like I love Spieth. I think that he's back. I think that he's going to have a ton of trouble here. Well, who I'm really worried about is Will Zalatoris. He's so straight. He's so long. He's built for U.S. Opens. So for me, I am in on Scheffler here. I think this is a 0.25 to 0.5 unit bet at plus 200. Looking to double it up. But 0.275. I think I've written out here at the end. But yeah, I love Scotty Scheffler. I think that he's a great U.S. Open type player, and we are getting him at a really nice number here with plus 200 on FanDuel. And finally, a group bet, one of my favorites is young Taylor Pendrith, plus 550 top Canadian. I think DraftKings has him at like plus 400. So we get a little bit of value there from him. Pendrith he is looking to defend his title at top Canadian at the U.S. Open. He was 23rd last year at the U.S. Open. And the only other person that was close was Adam Hadwin. So we're getting plus, like he is the full dog here. He is 4th out of 4 Canadians. Corey Connors is for some reason, minus 140 on sites, minus like in a 4-man, like there's no way that you should be that sort of favorite. I get that Connors has been playing some decent golf, but I think that he is definitely beatable for sure. And Pendrith is a guy who's been playing well on the Canadian or on the Corn Ferry Tour, and he's got some game. He's currently a much better golfer than Adam Hadwin and Mackenzie Hughes who are the other 2 golfers in this group. So I really think this is a 2-man matchup between Pendrith and Connors. And if I can get straight up essentially Pendrith plus 550 over Corey Connors, I'm going to take that every time. That's a 0.5 unit bet for me. This is a full tournament bet, and this is one that you can, I feel like this is a bet that I'm confident enough in that I could go blanksies on everything this weekend, and something like this saves my week. So I'm pretty pleased with that number, especially if I'm getting another 150 points as opposed to somewhere like DraftKings. So again, in finality, we've got Bryson over Brooks, 0.2 units to win 0.18. Guido is 3-ball win, 0.2 to win 0.4. Lowry, 0.5 to win 0.512. Oh, and I didn't put the last one in there. Pendrith, 0.5 to win 2.75. And we've got, who do we got? Scheffler, 200 over Spieth, and Zalatoris at 0.5 units as well. So for me, that's a little bit more. I'm looking at plus almost 2 units here on my matchup and group bets. But I think that I feel pretty confident in these 5, and I'm looking forward to see how they do. So again, join our Discord. Hit me up on Twitter at DFS Up North if you have any questions, or hit me up in Discord if you join our free Discord, right? Hit me up any questions you have. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And have a great U.S. Open, guys. I will be in our Discord answering questions all night. Let's go. What up, Hunter? How you been? I haven't heard from you in forever. Hunter's that's our showdown genius over there, my man. All right. Cheers, guys. See ya.